What do you think about that, Shaka? Do you think it's a fair result?
I think it was. Listen, I thought Manchester United continued in their good run of form. Leicester City, who haven't been great at home, but are a good team and showed it over the course of 90 minutes. So it was two of the best footballing teams in the Premier League, if not two of the best footballing teams in European football right now, coming head to head. And in the end, I thought a draw was a fair result.
Are United exciting to watch again, like the United we used to see under Sir Alex Ferguson?
I'm not going to go as far as to say it's the United under Sir Alex Ferguson, but it is chalk and cheese to the United maybe we saw for much of last season, and maybe even to start this season. How far they've come in a few short weeks, how much better their football is, and in particular, some of the options that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has available to him, and how he can use those. Again, given some of the criticism that he's had to endure, that I've heaped on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's own doorstep earlier in the season, to see how he's used his personnel, to see how this team is playing, and the confidence that they're playing with is a pleasant surprise. And I describe them as one of the best footballing teams in Europe right now, and I stand by that. And you saw that.
Let's talk about some of the personnel then. Marcus Rashford, props to him because he became the third youngest player in Premier League history to score 50 goals after Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo. And I don't want to take too much credit away for him, but could it have been more for the player today, Shaka?
Yes, it could have been. And listen, where you mentioned Marcus Rashford in the same sentence of those two, Rooney and Ronaldo, and that's incredible company. But Rashford had a chance very early on that he should have scored. He had a chance in the second half that was brilliantly saved by Schmeichel. I can hear people screaming, oh, it was a good height for the goalkeeper and all that other nonsense. I will not go down that rabbit hole. I thought it was an incredible save by Peter Schmeichel. And of course, had the goal and a very well taken goal. So yes, maybe we could be sitting here talking about a Rashford hat-trick. But, you know, it is what it is. You get yourself in those positions, and maybe the miss very early on takes away from some of his confidence in terms of how much he goes for the corner with the chance that Schmeichel saved. But again, saying that, you know, I think Leicester were deserving of a point. Yes, goals change matches and change conversations post matches. But, you know, it is what it is. Rashford continues to show exactly how good a player he is. And with any good striker, you have these opportunities that go begging that, like everything else, they wish they could have had back.
But he did have a goal. One player who didn't is Anthony Martial. And of course, the critics are out after this game once again for him.
Yeah, and understandably so. And listen, and this is the thing with Martial, especially when Manchester United go away from home, and especially when they play against better opposition, where they expect the team to press a little bit higher up the park. And Rashford, Martial, and his pace, his ball controlling and running at defenders' ability is maybe a slightly better option than Cavani, who is a whole lot better within 30 yards of the goal. And that's what you saw to end the game. That's what you saw in Manchester United's second goal. So maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer may anticipated what Brendan Rodgers was going to do a little bit incorrectly and chose incorrectly. Maybe he was a little bit slow in making the change and bringing Cavani on. But it's an understandable mistake to make, given who you are, given who you're coming up against. All that being said, you know Leicester's strengths, and that is themselves playing on the break and to Vardy's pace. So listen, I don't heap too much criticism either on Solskjaer or on Martial in this instance.
Both the subs for both sides making a big difference in coming on as assist men in Cavani to set up Bruno Fernandes and Ayoze Perez to set up Jamie Vardy. That's always a nod to the coaches, isn't it, Shaka?
Absolutely it is, without question. And I've spoken about Cavani and Solskjaer and how he's used him. Perez comes on and very good, in particular in the build-up to the goal. The ball across the face of goal virtually was a really good one. Back of defenders, which Vardy anticipated, and then finished show really well. So yeah, two good footballing teams, and on the face of it, two managers who, despite Solskjaer's own anticipation or the incorrectness of it, I thought adjusted really well. And since we're paying credit here, Kay, I'd also like to pay special mention to Daniel James in particular in the build-up to that first goal. Listen, all the headlines will be about Rashford and the finish and Bruno Fernandes and the ball in. But Daniel James pressing Johnny Evans in the way that he did brought a very cheap throw in deep into Leicester's half, just a few yards away from the corner flag. And then it was Daniel James in possession who drew a number of players to him. Then the ball into Bruno Fernandes. I'm not sure if, in all honesty, Bruno Fernandes was intending that pass into the path of Marcus Rashford, but it got there. And I thought that was two sides of Daniel James that maybe a lot won't recognize, that I think he needs to get full credit for. So all-round incredible performances by both teams, and incredible individual performances on both sides of the divide as well.
Yeah, just a quick mention. We know Bruno Fernandes will be getting all the praise, rightfully so. He does so often. But Jamie Vardy, very important that he was fit enough to play today. Always so crucial to this Leicester side.
Without question. Listen, as much of a nightmare as Bruno Fernandes is when opponents see his name on the team sheet, I think Jamie Vardy in particular, because of the pace that he brings, because of how confidently he finishes. And oftentimes it comes from nothing with Leicester City. And I know Leicester fans and Brendan Rodgers will say totally differently. But to have that option available to you, that when you're down, when there's space in behind defenders, that you can just put that ball into space for Jamie Vardy, and you can almost predict the outcome 99 times out of 100. Speaks volumes to him as a player, and to what he brings to Leicester, and how as an opponent you have to adjust your own tactics to suit every single time.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.